All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Business Blast podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. As always, today's sponsor is Authors Unite. And if you want to become a successful author, Authors Unite is the place to go. So head on over to authorsunite.com to check out a free case study that'll teach you how to do exactly that. And now let's jump into the episode. All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Business Blast podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. Today, I have Justin Saunders with us. He is a digital marketing consultant and also the founder of New Age Media, which is a six-figure digital marketing agency specializing in lead generation for doctors. So welcome to the show, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you having me on here.
Of course. Grateful to have you on. So Justin, the first one we ask on this show is, what is the best story from your life that has an underlying valuable message?
Oh man, you got to ask the toughest questions up front, huh?
Yeah, I mean, we're like break the ice quick.
All right. So I guess for me, man, the biggest story with the underlying valuable message would be, it wasn't too long ago until I kind of started seeing success with like digital marketing and where I'm at now, because, and I'll tell you more about it later, but I bounced around from shiny object syndrome to shiny object syndrome. And it wasn't until recently where it was, I cut off all my old friends from college because all they wanted to do was go out, get drunk, and do a bunch of dumb things. And for me, I had a bigger future. I had my plans on better things, right? So I cut all of them off. And then, me and my girlfriend weren't really getting along, and that kind of ended. So for me, losing all those friends, losing my girlfriend at the time, for me, it was kind of like a ground zero. And at that point, I told myself, I'm like, I'm either going to get rich or I'm going to go broke trying. So I had about $1,500 left to my name at that point, and I used every penny of that to invest in the mentors, the courses, to kind of get me where I'm now. So I guess my biggest, underlying valuable message there is just invest, because that's the best way to get to the next level.
Yeah, man, I couldn't agree more. And I love that too. And I'm curious, and actually maybe you can answer it along with this next question of how you ended up actually picking doctors. And I want to say I really like that you picked a niche, because I think what I see a lot of times is people are just like digital marketing strategists for like anybody, which is okay. I'm not saying you can't do well that way, but when you pick a specific niche, like a specific type of individual, like doctors that you're helping, I think you have a better chance for success. So, I'm curious how you came up with that. So let me ask the next question, and then if you can kind of dive into that story a little bit about how you started to serve doctors. So the next one is what is the most valuable piece of information we should know that's within your expertise or industry?
Well, I'd say there's a couple, and you kind of just touched on one of the basics right there. And that's what I tell all my students. Like I said, I do consulting, and the one thing that as soon as I get on a phone call with a student, I say, what niche are you in? And if they don't know, we'll spend a whole hour on that phone call figuring out which niche they're in. So when people tell you the riches are in the niches, they're not wrong. And going off of that, man, the next thing would be, it's 2019. Everybody, if you look around, everybody is on their phone 24/7, and they always have a computer. So go where everybody's at. Go get clients online. Do your business online. That's kind of what my main strategy is. What I teach is, just really focus on going online to get your ideal clients.
Yeah, man, I couldn't agree more. And I love that you do that, because like in the beginning, I mean, to help them find their niche, because if you don't have that in the beginning, then it's just going to be a mess later on, because you don't want to try to serve everyone. I forget that. I think it's a quote, like if you try to serve everyone, you're serving no one.
100%.
So it could tie in, but the next one is what's your best piece of overall business advice? So not necessarily industry specific.
I'd say kind of going back to that quick little story I shared with you earlier. It wasn't, I tried everything. I tried Shopify. I tried, drop shipping, real estate, Forex, digital marketing. And it wasn't until I picked one thing and went all in. And I think to answer your question here, man, just believe in yourself. Like, you got to be willing to invest and believe in yourself in order to get to that next level.
Yeah, I agree. And dude, I can totally relate to the shiny object syndrome. I think I think it's kind of normal when you first start out. But I think what happens, and this is what I always tell people, is it's like once you do have some success, like the beginning's the hardest part, but once you do have some success and momentum occurs, there's something about like momentum that just like catapults you. So if you can just stick it out until you get some of that beginning success, it like fuels this fire. And then I don't know how to describe it. It's just like once the momentum happens, then you can get focused, and the shiny objects tend to fade. They were more prevalent in my life in the beginning before I had any success. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of like a snowball effect. Once you get that momentum, like you were saying, it's just everything just keeps building on each other, and everything just keeps growing more and more.
Yes, exactly. So my next one for you is if you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that be?
Just stay focused, man. I mean, stay patient, because for me, and I think for anybody out there that's listening to this, that's just getting started, kind of how we were talking with the shiny object syndrome, it's hard to stay focused on one thing, especially like if you don't have money, or you don't have, like, let's say, for example, for me, like I went in 100% on this entrepreneur journey once I graduated. And for me, it was like, I have to have fast money now. And that problem of not staying, consistent and focused on one thing really kind of hurt me. So I'd say just stay focused and stay patient. Nothing good comes easy.
Mm-hmm. And then kind of going a little bit down a different path. In your opinion, what's the key to happiness?
The key to happiness, you just got to find something that, you love to do, and that you want to wake up every morning with, that motivation, that grind, knowing that you want to excel farther in that field.
And then what is the best book that you've read, and what was the number one thing you learned from that?
Oh, man. I'm a big book fan. So as we were talking about a little bit before we got on this call, my man Grant Cardone, the book 10X kind of really changed my life, because long story short about me, how I got into this whole digital marketing field, I was actually doing sales for a digital marketing agency when I was in college. And I kind of quit that. And as I was transitioning into starting my own agency, I got introduced to Grant Cardone's 10X book. And that kind of just shifted the game for me. It was kind of like, you can do anything you set your mind to. You just have to put in the effort.
Yeah, I could not, dude. I love Cardone too. And 10X, I forget the other one I read that it's something called like, there's like 270 closes or something. It's helped me a lot in sales. Like just from a sales perspective, the guy's a genius. So yeah, highly recommend anybody listening, Grant Cardone. And yeah, we actually were talking before, you'll be down here for the conference. So we'll be seeing each other in like 2 weeks, which is
yeah, man. That's so exciting. I'm so pumped for that.
So that my next one for you is, what's your favorite quote and why?
My favorite quote is, success is not final, failure is not fatal, it is the courage to continue that counts. It's a quote from Winston Churchill, and I've actually got it tattooed on my body. And every time I'm struggling, man, I think of that quote, and I'm like, it's not final. I can fail, and I can fail, and I can fail, but as long as I just keep going and stay consistent, I'll make it eventually.
Absolutely, brother. Dude, thank you for coming on. The last one I have for you is, where can our listeners best find and connect with you online?
Yeah, the best place is probably my Instagram, and that's Justin Saunders Official. That's Justin, Justin, Saunders, Saunders, and then official.
Perfect. Thanks again for coming on.
Yeah, Tyler, appreciate it, man.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.